This is a monumental day for free speech. Drake's historic lawsuit was officially dismissed. This lawsuit was one of the most problematic things to happen to music as a whole. One of the underlying lessons is that being a tattletale will not get you very far. What made this lawsuit so outrageous was that Drake was suing Universal Music Group for lyrics in a rap battle that he willingly participated in. And on top of that, Universal Music Group is literally the parent record label for both Kendrick and Drake. Hasn't Canada suffered enough? Now, before anyone actually feels bad for Drake, you need to understand that he was not innocent. He tried to frame this whole rap beef as a music industry scheme to attack him. One of the most popular narratives going around right now is that Universal Music Group wanted to hijack Drake's success with the Kendrick Lamar diss tracks. The theory being that if they did this, they would undermine his value to negotiate a better deal where the music industry had more leverage over Drake. But what this conspiracy doesn't account for is that Universal Music Group has already invested millions into the success of Drake, championing his music and promoting his marketing materials. And there's some extreme irony in this situation, because on the one hand, this lawsuit just drew more attention back to the beef and reminded the public that Drake has been accused of some creepy behavior. Whether or not his allegations were true, he just ultimately shot himself in the foot by commanding such a massive spotlight on this issue. But arguably, that's not even the funniest part of this situation. Drake is trying to portray this Robin Hood narrative where he's standing in opposition to a corrupt industry and fighting for the small artist, without taking into account the way that he treats his artists. They call his label the OVO Sweatshop for a reason. Not to mention the way that Drake uses other artists' aesthetics and sound to enhance his brand, and then abandons them when they're not cool anymore. Like, for real, what are we even talking about here? But the wildest part is that any corruption that Drake can accuse his record label of doing to promote Kendrick's music should not be taken seriously, because that entirely undermines the success of his previous work. If Kendrick's numbers are inflated, then it means that Drake's numbers are inflated. It's the same industry machine pushing both artists. Can't play this everyone's a corporate puppet but me angle. I mean, you can try, but what are we doing right now? Everyone is watching you saw your own leg off, and the hypocrisy is just astounding. Drake has gone on record saying that rap lyrics shouldn't be used to incriminate people as evidence in court. But then when Mr. Kendrick Lamar writes a mean poem about him, suddenly using rap lyrics to incriminate someone is okay. There is nothing more detrimental to free speech than the suppression of artistic expression. A lawsuit like this would have had detrimental effects on what kind of media could be produced and distributed to a mainstream audience. By asserting this arbitrary moral code that applies to everyone else but him, Drake is doing the least hip-hop thing imaginable. This rap battle was a competition, and he can't act like this 5'5" Kendrick just blindsided him. No. On his diss track push-ups, he encouraged Kendrick to drop whatever he had. He repeated it on the record like 8 times. As much as I'm personally biased against Drake for the way that he has overtly commercialized this art form, I'm still genuinely in awe that he thought this would be a smart move. In his mind, he must have thought that a lawsuit like this would clear his name, challenge the predominant narratives about him, and discredit the monumental success of Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us. I'm sure that this will sabotage his whole Iceman album rollout too, because it's evident that he was trying to build a narrative about this grand conspiracy against him, when in reality he could have just bowed out like J. Cole. He could have chose a life of peace instead of crying himself to sleep every night. This lawsuit was the equivalent of throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping that something would stick. It's a cry for help. Justice has been served. When I first heard about this lawsuit, I had some conflicted feelings. Obviously, I thought the specifics were ludicrous, but it was wild that I was finding myself on the side of a record label in this dispute. Normally, I'm that annoying guy that's fully against corporate power structures. Don't get it twisted, I still hate record labels. There's a reason some people still compare record labels to modern day slavery. But Drake's lawsuit would set a dangerous precedent and hurt future generations of artists. Policing what people are allowed to say on a song is a slippery slope. And while there are many ideas out there that I hate and disagree with, creatives shouldn't have to sanitize their music to appease some corporate code. Kendrick is still living rent-free in Drake's head. My final argument is that I'm sure that there is some degree of corruption in Universal Music Group. I'm not discounting that, but putting down other creatives without sufficient evidence is not the way to go about this. Do better.